I know some here wish that I could just bypass Congress and change the law myself. I know there's some folks who wish I could just bypass Congress. We are not just going to be waiting for legislation in order to make sure that we're providing Americans the kind of help that they need. I've got a pen and I've got a phone, and I can use that pen to sign executive orders and take executive actions and administrative actions that...
In the words of Bradley Manning, yes, Your Honor, I wrote this statement in confinement.
I was deployed to Baghdad. I want people to see the truth.
Manning was someone who signed up to be a soldier. He volunteered to be in Iraq.
He was deeply disturbed by what he was seeing as an intelligence analyst in Iraq, the shooting of the Reuters reporters, civilians by helicopters. He leaked documents during the war, and they were enormously helpful for people on the outside to understand what the government was thinking about on the inside.
If you join the armed forces, are you accepting on that day when you sign the paper and you join up that you will turn a blind eye to any war crime that you witness?
Particularly in the uniform of our country, if you don't have truth, then we have to ask ourselves, why do we risk anything and what are we fighting for to begin with?
He is asking us to look at the consequences of war, the damage that war produces.
There is a protocol for torture.
The Army reports listed some 60,000 civilians dead.
Hillary Clinton was ordering State Department employees to spy on diplomats.
He's a man who's done things that the mainstream media should have done a long time ago.
He ignited this chain of social action.
We saw very clearly the discrepancies between what we were being told and what was actually happening.
He's a whistleblower, and the whole concept of whistleblower laws and whistleblower protections are you cannot get into trouble for reporting about illegal or improper activity.
It's enshrined in our Constitution that an individual has the right to release information and disseminate information that makes the powers that be uncomfortable.
It's an absurd charge to be charging him with giving aid and comfort to the enemy.
The attempt is to shut down any free flow of information.
They want to shut him up, lock him up.
To take a risk and to take a stand, knowing that in all likelihood you will be persecuted, penalized, demonized and punished for it, that's incredibly bold.
How are you going to act on your conscience when you know if you do so that you could be subject to the death penalty for aiding the enemy, for simply being a whistleblower of criminality?
Could possibly lead to lifetime imprisonment or even death.
I heard his testimony on the day he talked about the torture. It was the most moving day I've ever spent in a courtroom, and I've spent 40 years listening to people talk about how they were tortured. When he first got arrested and was put into a wire cage in a tent
and was stripped naked and paraded around,
he drew the cell that he was in on the floor and how he had to lay in the cell and how the light was on him 24 hours.
Forced to sleep without cover.
Conditions far worse than soldiers who have been convicted of cold-blooded murder.
Every single newspaper in this country ought to be screaming about Bradley Manning.
The whole concept of freedom of speech and the freedom of the press, this is under direct threat in this one case.
It's important that we do have those people who stand up and expose what's really going on.
They take enormous risks on our behalf.
And we need more like him.
And now that I know it, I cannot unknow it.
So the question for all of us, when you see atrocities like those that Bradley Manning saw, is the question he asked.
If you saw incredible things,
Awful things, things that belonged in the public domain.
And not on some servers
stored in a dark room in Washington, D.C.
What would you do?
what would you do?
What would you do?
What would you do?
I was Bradley Manning.
I am Bradley Manning.
I am Bradley Manning.
I am Bradley Manning.
I am
Bradley Manning.
Bradley Manning.
Bradley Manning.
Bradley Manning.
I hope that we are all
Bradley Manning. If it happens to him, it is happening to us.
God knows what happens now.
Hopefully, worldwide discussion.
Debates.
And reforms.
I want people to see the truth.
I want people to see the truth.
I want people to see the truth, because without information,
You cannot make informed decisions as a public.
You've talked about the need of this country to pay attention to where we're headed, down a path that really is the equivalent of I think you've used the term, John, civil unrest.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, we're in a situation where obviously at this hour we're being, the American people are being forced to do something they don't want to do. Let me say this. I'm here to validate all the millions of people who are opposed to the Obama health care. We're witnessing a slow and steady takeover of our true freedoms. We're becoming a socialist nation. And Obama is causing civil unrest in this country. What's going on? Well, we see, first of all, that the stimulus package didn't work. And now we see the government taking over banks. We see the government taking over car companies, insurance. We're being told what cars we can drive, how much we can make. And now they want to take control of our health care and tell us what doctors we can see and what treatments we can have.
Are you happy with the way that Obama has been running the country? You a fan?
No.
No?
No, I really think he misinterpreted his mandate. I think a friend of mine said to me the other day, I thought it was a great line, I no longer hope for audacity.
Really?
You know, he's doubled down on a lot of things. Well, going back to that education thing, one of the things, if I were the Adjustment Bureau, this idea that we're testing kids and we're tying teachers' salaries to how the kids are performing on tests. It's just, it's a really, that kind of mechanized thinking has nothing to do with higher order thinking. We're training them, we're not teaching them.
Revelations that have emerged in the past few months from whistleblower Edward Snowden and others
have painted a disturbing picture of widespread, suspicionless surveillance of American citizens.
We got a wake-up call just recently.
NSA snooping includes the interception and collection of call detail records and internet traffic,
including audio, video, photographs, documents, chat logs, and emails.
Every American is at risk for getting caught up in the NSA dragnet,
including average citizens not suspected of a crime.
We have also learned of the large-scale collaboration with telecom giants, internet companies, and service providers.
Some concerned email providers have chosen to shut their doors rather than cave to government subpoenas to hand over their users' data.
We've been misled.
Does the NSA collect any type of data at all on millions or hundreds of millions of Americans?
No, sir.
We've seen this story before.
We've had too much secrecy in this country. It has corrupted the government.
And we decided it was wrong.
It was wrong then, and it's wrong now.
This is a fearful situation. The American people, one of the basic rights is the right to privacy.
Unrestrained, illegal, secret intimidation and harassment of the essential ability of Americans to participate freely in American political life shall never happen again.
Nixon's crimes predated widespread internet use by decades.
The tools for surveillance have never been more powerful, and the threat to our civil liberties has never been greater.
Edward Snowden was not the first. I represent 6 NSA whistleblowers who are being charged with espionage for telling the truth.
We truly, as a nation, are at a crossroads.
I became aware they were sweeping up everybody's data indiscriminately.
What I was eyewitness to was the subversion of the Constitution. And that was when the hair on the back of my neck went up. And so I became a whistleblower.
This is our information.
This is our information.
This is our information.
This is our information.
It is the digital archive of our lives.
Texts of our chats with our families.
It's the backbone of everything that we care for, humanitarian causes and things that we fight for.
It is everything you use the internet for.
History tells us we need to watch the watchers.
And in the surveillance state, democracy itself is dead.
It makes a mockery of our system of government, which is based on the notion of independent branches of government, including a fourth estate.
the press.
A free society should not have secret laws.
It doesn't have to present this false trade-off between security or privacy.
We need to bring NSA activity from the shadows into the light of day.
We need to end mass, suspicionless surveillance.
And I think that when we have a leadership that thinks that the Constitution of the United States of America is a joke, when we have a president who has almost 1,000 executive orders now, if the truth about Benghazi were to come out now, I don't think that this man would make it through his term. I think he would be impeached.
I pledge. I pledge. I pledge to help end hunger in America.
By supporting Feeding America and our local food bank.
I pledge.
I pledge to smile more, to laugh more, to love more.
I pledge
to volunteer more of my time to help children battling serious illnesses.
with the Art of Elysium.
I pledge to be a great mother.
To be a great father.
To continue working with UNICEF to make this world a better place for all of our children. To be the voice for those that have no voice. I pledge. I pledge.
to consider myself an American, not an African American.
To always represent my country with pride, dignity, and honesty.
I pledge to go to usaservice.org and find a service project that I am passionate about. I pledge allegiance to the funk, to the United Funk of Funkadelica.
I pledge
to never give anyone the finger when I'm driving again.
To always find the humor in everything.
I pledge to help find a cure for Alzheimer's.
To care for America's elderly.
To make sure that senior citizens have access to health care.
So that our next generation's memories will not be forgotten. I pledge to bring awareness to mental disease.
To advance stem cell research.
To spread the awareness of autism.
I pledge
to show more love to strangers.
To meet my neighbors, find out their names.
I'm gonna give them a smile and ask them how I can be of service to them. I pledge.
I pledge
to be a better mentor to my younger sisters.
to continue to be a mentor for big brothers and big sisters.
I pledge
To reduce my use of plastic.
by starting with using less bottled water. To plant 500 trees this year to help our planet. To be more green.
To no longer use the plastic bags at the grocery store.
To consume less and cultivate more.
So that we are on this planet forever.
For the environment, I pledge to flush only after a deuce, never a single.
I pledge.
I pledge.
I pledge to turn the lights off, because I used to leave the lights on, but we want to conserve energy, so I'm going to turn the lights off, you turn the lights off.
I pledge.
I pledge to sell my obnoxious car and buy a hybrid.
To drive slower and not use as much gas.
I pledge to volunteer my time.
To express the importance of arts education in our schools.
To sell a culture of intelligence instead of ignorance.
I pledge to help children understand that just because they come from a small place doesn't mean they can't dream big.
I pledge
To work to make good the 200-year-old promise to end slavery.
To the abolition of 21st century slavery.
To free 1 million people from slavery in the next 5 years. To fight.
To become aware.
To educate. To not give up.
To defend.
Issues that I care about.
I pledge to be of service to Barack Obama.
I pledge.
To change how I live. To be a better person.
To never stop learning and growing each and every day. Every day.
I pledge to commit to my own change before I ask others to change.
To be the change.
To be the change.
To integrate into my heart what I already know in my head, which is that we're all in this together.
Imagine what could happen next.
What's your pledge?
What's your pledge?
I know you got a pledge. What's your pledge?
You got a pledge?
What's your pledge?
I pledge
to be a servant to our president.
and all mankind.
Because together we can.
Together we are.
And
Together we will be the change that we seek.